Because, again, when you go into university, you're like in your late teens, like 18, 19, early 20s at most, right? When you first go into university, I mean. And like, yes. Okay, so this is something I want to address with the earlier thing about the bonded medical scheme as well. These participants are signing these contracts. They are, in the overwhelming majority of cases, over 18. They are legal adults. I am very aware that they are legal adults. But still, to expect them to be able to make this decision, a decision this heavy, that early on in their life, is just unreasonable. Because if you ask anyone who's above the age of, like, let's say 22, they'll tell you that, like, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, despite being a legal adult, is like practically a baby when it comes to making big life decisions. And again, with the medical bonded scheme, the idea that you can make a decision about whether you actually want to be a doctor/nurse or not before you've even had a chance to go on placement is just insane. So, yeah, doctors who speak out on systemic issues are demonized? Oh yeah, they are. So, okay, like, at the same time, I do say that, like, I am convinced that if enough doctors talk about it, then it'll become something that can't be ignored. But at the same time, like you said, Spencer, it is a very reasonable concern that they have that they might not be able to have the same sort of, like, as lucrative a career after speaking out about it as, before they did so. Because like I said, there are no systems for transparency or protection of complainants in medicine, from what I've heard. Yeah. They're giving their souls to the cause, literally, if they are going through all this. Yeah, and that's why I make the Hollywood comparison. Because, yes, they're not selling their bodies in a sexual way, or at least from what I know, they're not. But they are still selling their bodies, right? They are giving the entirety of their life over to this degree. In every single instance of the student that I've spoken to, they take this degree very seriously. And as a result of that, they dedicate hours of their life, sleepless nights, plenty of mental and psychological strain just to get through it all. And again, I want to bring your attention back to the fact that at the end of all of this, right, they are essentially being treated as assets by universities to lend out to these clinics, these healthcare facilities for labor. So these universities can get funding or a grant or whatever, or to improve this, some statistic when it comes to rural healthcare that the government can then use in its next election cycle. Like, all of this is, like, again, in theory, there's nothing wrong with all of this by itself. But the fact that all of this comes with a neglect of how those medical students are doing is criminal. Yeah. Also, why the idol industry is predatory, because it takes advantage of those 18 to 19-year-olds who don't know better. Yeah, exactly. And university is very much the same thing. There is, again, this isn't anything official. There is a real cultural stigma, at least here in Australia, against taking a gap year after high school to actually make the decision of what you want to do with your life. Very many people are incentivized to immediately jump from high school graduation into a university degree the next year after they graduate. So, again, these are like 18, 19-year-olds who really can't be expected to be able to make life-changing decisions with as much, with as informed a view as someone older. I'm holding on to Japanese songs, friends, anime, and my dad. Like, I'll be lucky if I survive university. Jess, I hope you survive. I mean, I hope we all survive. I hope we all survive. Don't, university's fucking, it can be a fucking shithole sometimes, but life exists outside of it, and it would be a shame for you to miss out on it. The current state of academia, if you don't have a clear path afield and a career defined, you really shouldn't be going at all and attempt a trade school instead. I agree. But the problem is, academia, as it is right now, is sustained off of the backs of three things: FOMO, migrants, and a monopoly over knowledge. We are never getting rid of FOMO, because that has been deeply ingrained in just general culture, right? We're not getting rid of FOMO. Every time someone famous who graduated from a university, and it doesn't matter how irrelevant their degree is to why they got famous, they will be invited back to give a speech, and they will probably accept that invitation. Because, again, they're giving a speech. It's good publicity for them, and it's good publicity for the university. So every time there's a success story, we're going to have that just shoved in our face. Like, if you graduated, they're going to invite you back. If you haven't graduated, they'll still invite you regardless. I think a university even opened up like a Taylor Swift degree. Again, whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, so we are never getting rid of FOMO, right? It's deeply in the minds of like both people who just graduated high school and their families, like their parents. And this is where we get to the second thing, which is migrants, right? For the overwhelming majority of migrants, especially Asian ones in my experience, they will view university or higher education in general as the ultimate gateway to a better and stable future. And that is a really hard thing to untangle and dispute because it's so deeply ingrained in, like, you know, their minds. And then third, monopoly over knowledge. This is part of the reason why I do what I do, is because I feel scammed. I feel like I've done years of a degree and kind of been cheated out of a cathartic end to it. I feel like I just feel really disillusioned with my fucking university degree. So I'm in a position where I deferred at the end of last year, where I've done all of the components of my degree that are essential that are essential to my areas of study. But my degree has stipulations that I need to complete additional units that aren't related to my areas of study just so I can graduate. And again, I feel fucking cheated, which is why part of the reason why I'm doing this. Because as fun as it would be, I'm not really keen on smashing up a classroom or blocking roads or spending a night in a jail cell. So instead of doing all of that, instead of smashing up a classroom, I'm just going to spit on their monopoly by doing this. So yeah, me 3. What did I major in? Theater and media studies.